Whoa, is it really thick? Oh my god! Oh my god! It is so thick. So if you saw my last leather video, you would know that these were my samples that I ended up with at the end of all those experiments, which they aren't great, but I've learned a lot from making these ones. Mostly the fact that they really liked the reed leaves that I foraged. So I'm going to be using more of those and seeing if we can make something better, because this is quite thick, but obviously I was still able to accidentally rip it. So I've got a few plans. Right, so I went and got more reed leaves, and what I plan to do, because I noticed the Mycelium really enjoyed the nutrients, I guess, from the reed leaves. So what I'm going to do is just boil them into some water and like extract whatever nutrients are inside that, and then just use that solution to create a nutrient broth along with some light malt extract and nutritional yeast, and then create a liquid solution for the mycelium to grow on top of, and hopefully make a nice sheet of mycelium that we can process. But as well as the leaves, I also got these, like, what are they? Are they like the seeds or something? Anyway, the fluffy bit of the of the reeds. Just because I thought maybe having these really fine, soft fibres, delicate fibres floating on top might give something for the mycelium to weave through and bind with. I have no idea if it'll work, but I think that would be quite a fun experiment as well. So we'll get to that later. But first things first, I'm going to rip up a load of leaves and put them into the water that's on the hob. Right, that's been boiling a while now. So what I'm going to do is do one larger and one smaller version of the same, where it'll just be the liquid, and then I'll do a small version with the like seed fibre things as well. I've got 150ml now, just going to measure out now my 2% light malt extract to go in there. Actually, I'm going to measure out all the liquids first and then do the powders after, because that makes sense. Right, that's the light malt extract weighed out now. I just need to give them a mix up, but I've decided I'm not putting the nutritional yeast in, because that's what I've decided, and it's absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I've run out and can't be bothered to go to the shop. That's that on. That on. So those are the same. I don't want to overdo it, but I want to maybe a little bit more to fill in those voids. That looks pretty good to me. Oh no. A little bit spilled. And after pressure cooking them for 45 minutes and allowing them to cool, it was now time to inoculate them. now they're inoculated with my Oyster Mushroom Liquid Culture, I seal the edges of the container with grafting tape, and then I put them in my makeshift incubator for a couple of weeks. Right, so we're about a week in, and I've noticed something very interesting actually. So these two that are the same, there's just like a small amount of growth. Maybe you can see from the bottom. See just that tiny amount of growth in there, right? Same with the top one. Now this one with all the little fibres, like we've almost got a full sheet on top. So that is very interesting. Right, so it's been about a couple of weeks now, so this one is done and we're ready to move on to the next stage. So that's the one with the seeds in it, and here's the other one that was working quite well but just very slowly, and it doesn't seem to want to grow to the edges when it's just liquid without something for it to bind to on the surface, like those little floating seeds. And the larger version of this one is going even slower. Yeah, slower. So we're going to work on this one today. Smells very good. Remove this from the edges. Oh, is it already split? Oh, it's already split there. It's not looking good. Right, it's out of the pot, but it's just so delicate. How do you make it thicker? Not sure. I need to clean it up. I'm going to leave those bits on there because it's quite fragile at the moment. I need to dry it out because I've got a different process that I'm going to follow this time. I'm going to go through multiple different processes to chemically change this without using any harsh chemicals. So we'll see what happens, but it's just this piece is very fragile at the moment, so I need to work out really how I can make a piece thicker. Right, so this has been drying on the radiator. Wow, it's so thin. It's just so thin. I think I need to focus on getting this thicker before I go through the whole process of making it into leather. I need to actually get the first part to a point where I'm actually happy with it, because that is just, it's just so delicate. So back to the drawing board, and I've got some ideas. This is the large liquid solution, and this is the smaller one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mix, a nutrient mix, and I'm going to add some more liquid into this one on top of it and see what that does, because it sort of started to, well, it stopped growing along that far edge here. So I might as well just experiment with this one and see what happens there. And talking of experimenting, I've also got these new containers. So I wanted to work out a way to make the mycelium thicker during the growing stage, whatever. The idea behind these, so I can reduce gas exchange because this has a gasket around the top. So I've heard that increasing CO2 will make the mycelium thicker, so that's why I thought we'll try these ones out. But we might also have an issue with these ones if I completely close them. I'm going to try it. If I completely seal these up, that will completely eliminate any gas exchange, so we might have an issue of too much CO2. But if they're only growing for like a week to 2 weeks or 2 weeks to 3 weeks, Not too sure, we'll see. There might be enough oxygen in the nutrient mix for the mycelium to work with. So there might not be a need for, you know, a lot of gas exchange anyway. But we'll have to see what happens with that. What I'm going to do is create a different kind of nutrient mix with these ones as well. I'm going to use 6% oats to water, and then I'm still going to use my 2% light malt extract as well, so it should be really nutrient dense. In theory, with the high CO2, high humidity, that should create a thick mat of mycelium. Convenient, it's 150 millimeters and it's 150 milliliters, so that'd be an easy one to remember. Right, so that's our 9 grams that we need to add, but this one I want to turn into a powder, and to be honest, I don't really have a way of turning it into a powder, but I'm going to improvise. I'll just use this stainless steel mug and a ring mandrel, and I'll just grind it up like a pestle and mortar, and hopefully end up with a powder. Some funky metallic smells. Right, it's not going to end up as a fine powder, but it's way thinner than it was. Right, and now I'm going to just quickly throw together a nutrient solution that I can put in a container that I can siphon out with a syringe, so I can add it to that already existing culture that I have, and see if adding nutrients on top will benefit it. Right, there we go. So we've got our 3 containers all prepped. And then our nutrient solution preps there as well. So I'm not really going to be able to put foil over these when I put them in the pressure cooker, so I'm just going to open up the wings and just allow these to vent so any pressure can escape. My hands are too big. Oh, please tell me we can get 3 in there. Oh no. I didn't measure it. Hang on. It's not gonna, is it? Oh wait. Oh, it must be so perfect. So, I fucked up. I actually, I closed all the wings as soon as I took these out of the pressure cooker, so they pulled a vacuum while the plastic was still warm, and yeah, the lids have imploded. Has the base imploded as well? Oh my god! The base, it only just crossed my mind to think about the base as well. I fucked these up big time. I thought the base was still flat, but it's not. I might as well inoculate them because it'll give me an idea whether this is worth pursuing. Fuck, I've ruined all 3 of those. Oh well, we learn. Don't worry, I am a doctor. nasty. Right, so this stuff was really hard to draw through the syringe, as I expected, to be honest, but I managed to get there. And so I added some of the nutrient solution to this one that's it's been a bit disturbed and moved about now, so it's not one big pellicle at the top like it was. And I wasn't sure if I saw mould on one of these little islands when I added that, but maybe I'm wrong, Oh no, there. You're looking a bit suspicious. Yeah, okay, this one's a bit sus. Anyway, that's those. These things, absolute shit show. They pulled such a vacuum. I think it's just, it was my error though, because as soon as they came out, like I couldn't even touch them. I had to use a tea towel to take them out and close the wings. I don't think they imploded like that because they went through the pressure cooker. It was just because I sealed them airtight and they pulled a vacuum while they were still piping hot, and that plastic was malleable. There we go, so that is everything in the incubator, and now we just play the waiting game. I've decided these ones have grown enough to go on to the next step of processing. So this one looks alright, but I'm not sure how to get it out of here for the next section of processing, because I feel like it's just going to snap. The smaller one is, well, we can open these up. Right, okay. Yeah, it's just so delicious smelling, but so patchy. Oh, okay. Right, I'm going to separate it from the sides. I really want to try and get this intact. I'll use my new tool, spatula. I think it's free from the sides now. I need to dry it out, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to skip drying the mycelium. So we'll go to soaking it in citric acid and glycerin next. So I haven't done this before. I've only soaked it in glycerin before and boiled it. So let's see how this new method. So basically I'm going to soak it in citric acid and glycerin, then bake it to sort of cure it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Because I need to soak it in that solution for 24 hours. So what I'm going to do is try and fill this up with water and flush out all this stuff, and then refill this with 200 ml and add the citric acid and glycerin, and then add the mycelium sheet back in. Right, I've filled it up just so I can try and, instead of dunking my fingers in there and pulling it up, I'm going to try and sort of slip my hand under there. Now I've raised it up and then put it on a piece of card or something. It feels quite thick. Come on. Oh, it's quite thick. It is quite thick. Come on, don't spill it. Come on. Shit. Did it just... What happened? Come on. Oh my god. Oh my god, that is so good. No way. That is actually so good. Right, did it crack? Or did it just slip? It was quite slippery. Wow, I'm so impressed. This is actually really exciting. Wow. It actually holds so much water. So we need to get some of that out so it can absorb this new solution. Let the new solution sit between all those fibres. Like when you prep tofu, you get some of that water out so you can get the marinade to sit in there. Like, I'm not even joking, this piece is like so genuinely exciting and so promising compared to all the other pieces. Right, there we go, it's all clean. So, time to measure out our ingredients. Citric acid, 20 grams. That's 10. 20. Perfect. 10. Right, there we go, that's our solution. Acid and glycerin solution. So I didn't actually explain, did I, what I'm doing? So I think the science behind it is that the acid will slightly break down the chitin in the mycelium fibers, which pretty much the stuff that that prawns and things like that make their like exoskeleton out of. So it's like a hard material. So the citric acid will slightly break that down, and it allows for the glycerin to sort of penetrate into those fibers, and that should allow the mycelium to become more malleable and also increase tensile strength, I believe. I've only used glycerin before, and that definitely stops the mycelium from just ending up as a dry cracker. We'll see if this increases tensile strength as well, because as we've seen with the previous ones, some of you may remember, they're just a bit fragile. Oh, I'm actually nervous. I'm so glad I've got this spatula, it's such a cool tool. Get a bit of air under there. Oh, yeah, we've done it, right. Come on. Oh my god, that is so cool. Oh, yes, it's working so well. It has to be thicker than all the other pieces we've made so far. There's 4. I can't even speak, I'm so excited. It does feel stronger, and even when I first pulled it out, it slipped out of my hand because it was slippery, but it still didn't break even with me like sort of pinching it a little bit. So that is actually really exciting. I get this solution all over it. Okay, right, so I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I think the warmth will help it do its thing. I'm not sure I read that anywhere, but that's what I'm going with. It's been 24 hours, maybe a little bit over 24 hours. So I was meant to have a look at this a little bit earlier, but I was sorting my laundry out and stuff, life stuff. So, right, let's have a look. I'm actually really excited. Don't want to touch citric acid water when my skin's so crap anyway. Looks like it's changed shape. Has it cracked? And it's cracked there, I think. Is that a bit of a crack? So, I'm going to take it out, put it on foil, and then wrap it up, and then bake it. Gently does it. Yes. That's so exciting. I don't remember where I got any of these instructions from. I watched loads of YouTube videos and I've read loads of stuff like weeks ago. I'm a sophisticated person. I choose to air fry my mycelium leather. Right, let's change this to, so we need it at 150. Right, here we go. Oh shit. Oh, puffed up. Oh no, why is it so sticky? What the fuck has happened? Has the glycerin like evaporated out and stuck everything together? Hello? Oh fuck. Just sort of winging this bit. Now we just give it a little wash and a bit of calcium carbonate to neutralise that acid wash briefly, just briefly, and then we wash it with water to get any excess calcium carbonate liquid off, and then we let it air dry, and that should be it. Doesn't hiss that much when you put in just water alone, does it? So I assume that's reacting with the acid. What I've noticed is it's still holding up pretty well. Like all my other pieces would have disintegrated by now with all like this amount of handling. So it's a massive step up from the last ones already. So I'm just going to let it sit in this warm water for a little bit longer, and then I believe air drying it is the best way. Did I just break it? What? Oh, why does it feel so weird? It felt really weird. Looks like it's got really thin in certain areas. Right. And we shall let that air dry. Right. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. It dried out, but it's just self-destructed. Look at all the cracks and yeah, it's just dry as. So it turns out there was actually a lot of issues with this process, and I got the chemistry just completely wrong. I think I just got a bit too ambitious and wanted to try a new way of processing the leather, but for the rest of the samples I'm going to go back to my process of just using glycerin. It just looks a bit ropey. It might be really thick though. Right, I had to add water so it would float to the top. Whoa, is it really thick? Oh my god! Oh my god! Why can you... Oh my god! It is so thick. The initial piece has been really thick, and that's because I gave it extra nutrients part way through its growth. And this one is ridiculously thick. Okay, what we'll do is we'll process this one in the way I processed my original pieces, not in this way, and then we'll see how that works, and then if that's looking good we'll make a large piece, add in the nutrients and so on, and we'll see what happens there. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Can't remember my last recipe that I used, so I just got to check my last video. Right, so I'm going to boil it in a 20% glycerin to water mixture, and then I'm just going to leave it overnight and then dry it out and see what we've got. It's now boiling. Gonna leave it 5 minutes, turn the heat off and let it sit overnight. Right, so here it is. That is it. So that's it dried with after the glycerin soak and boil as well. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's actually really thick in some spots, but yeah, it's grown a bit thin in some areas like there, and then thicker in this section here. But what this has really shown me is that adding extra nutrients partway through growth increases the thickness of the mycelium. So with these ones, you can see they've started growing, and there's like little islands in there. So I'm going to create a nutrient mix and add that to all 3 of these containers. Here's some more oats. Soy peptone powder. So I'm going to put a tiny little bit of this in there and see what happens as well. I've never used this before, and I understand you're meant to use just like the tiniest little bit, so I guess we'll see what that does. Light malt extract for good measure. Yeah, so our nutrient liquid's been added into all 3 of these, so they are looking very different. I must point that out as well, because yeah, this one's got loads of little islands and these ones just aren't really doing too much. Right, so while the other ones are growing still, I've decided we'll put everything that we've learned so far together into these 2. So I want high nutrients, high CO2, and something that rests on top of the liquid as a bit of a raft for the mycelium to hold on to. In here I've got 200 ml of water, and I'm going to separate that 100 ml per pot. So here I've got light malt extract. I'm going to put 4 grams of light malt extract in there. I'm going to put just a wee pinch of nooch in there, and then I'm going to put just the tiniest amount of soy peptone in there as well. Right, let's mix all that together. Right, so they're both separated, but I nearly jumped the gun and forgot to add the floaty bits. Right, so our healthy one, we gave an additional splash of nutrients, and then with the second one that I'm not entirely sure what's happening with because of the strange lack of growth, I just sort of went for a double or nothing approach and tipped loads of the nutrient in there, because if it's already failed, who cares, it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately this one was contaminated, so it didn't grow anymore and it just ended up smelling sour and rotten. So because the cultures in these square containers failed to make one sheet and just stayed as loads of little islands, I decided to use them as an experiment to see how tanning the mycelium would work. So I used tea in this experiment. Right, so here we are. This is the final lot. I mean, still not as thick as I was hoping it would be, but that's our large sheet processed. I don't know, it's still very interesting. It feels so strange because I can compress that, and you know, you've just got this this sheet. So this is the original thick piece that I put through a second boiling run in the glycerin. I don't know, it feels like it's shrunk a little bit, but it's also a lot thicker. It feels tougher. It does definitely feel tougher. So that's something interesting to bear in mind as well. And then we've got all these little pieces that I've just shredded that were all the failed bits of mycelium. Yeah, nothing to report there. A failure, really. But this project has been very, very interesting, and there's plenty more I can improve on. But if you enjoyed that, click down here to subscribe, and up here to watch another video.